in the end, which is interesting, and then as I started thinking about these things, like, so they told me like I couldn't go to the temple anymore, and like they started telling me these things I couldn't do, and you can't pray in church if you're going to do that. You can't pray. I mean, that to me, that was the first time that kind of did that whole like, you know, that like where your head like goes back. It's like I can't pray.
That you're actually incapable of communicating with God.
So I can't like bless. I think praying can be quite unselfish. So I can't bless other people. Because now they're saying that, you know, your priesthood is pretty much suspended right now.
Well, neither can women.
But they've been suspended forever. So, well, they have when it comes to the priesthood. They've never. I mean, don't even go there with me because women's rights is, I think, more sensitive to me than even gay rights. So, this bishop started taking away little things, just little bits, because he's like, I want to keep you in the ward. You can teach me so much, and you can teach others so much, and teach tolerance. And after a while, I was like, I'm getting tired of having to be the one that teaches everyone tolerance. Why am I like have to like? Why do I have to be tolerated? Like, I don't think I should have to be tolerated. And so then. They're like, well, maybe you can like assist in like a family home evening thing, because I wanted a calling. Like, we can't give you like a calling. We can give you like maybe like you can like be an assistant like planning person for the family home. I mean, I was like, so what? Like, buy the treats.
It's funny, like everyone else is trying to get out of a calling.
And I wanted one, yeah. And I wanted one, and I wanted to do all these things, and I wanted to, you know, I can't believe what the extremes I was going. Then I started thinking about. Then they told me I can go to the temple, and I loved the temple. And so I was like, well, but I pay my tithing, like, and then I started thinking about this, and I was like, I'm paying for buildings that I don't get to go into. Like, that concept started to like really turn on me. Like, I was like, I'm paying 10% of all my income on time, all the time, to build things that I'm not allowed to. That just does not make sense to me. So build the kingdom for everyone but myself. I mean, that to me, like, honestly, like that, I mean, that was scary. I started thinking about these things, but I kind of like, I've subscribed to that ideology of if you think too much and if you read too much, I might as well just be in front of the, you know, the camera. I mean, in front of the computer, you know, looking at porn. You know, I mean, because that's what it equated to. Like, that's the way that I felt about it, because that's what my leaders had told me. So. So then we moved to the Avenues. You know, I told my bishop, I was like, we're moving to the Avenues. And he's like, okay, is it okay if I sing your records? Just so, like, I was like, absolutely. I want to meet, you know, have my home teachers come over, but will you please preface them, because it's really embarrassing. Because the last ones laughed and didn't take me serious for a minute. I had to keep. I'm like, no, I really am gay. And they're like, whatever. And like, I was like, okay, can you tell them? And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And so then my bishop called me when we got down to the Avenues, and was very nice, and just said, come on down, and I want to talk to you. And I was like, okay, cool. Did he tell you this already?
No.
Oh, well, so this goes down in my life as like one of the most blindsided, scaredest, like most discombobulated I've ever been in my entire life. Where I just was like, and I went down there. I was in just like a little hoodie and hat on.
Little
hoodie, all cute. But like, no, like had I known what I was going to be walking into, maybe. I mean, it just was, the whole thing was so silly. You know what I mean? Like, I got down there and I walked in, and my bishop came out into the hallway and was like, good to see you, Brother Hanson, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hi. And he was like, can you step in? And he just, the way he was like so serious about it when I got there, I was like, not how he was on the phone when he called me. I felt like I was like baited in by like how like, oh, I got your records from your bishop, and I hear you just this vibrant, like high energy, like, and I was like, okay, you know, and, yay, maybe we'll get a calling, you know, and so I get down there, and he opens the door, and I walk in there, and there's the stake president, and there's the two counselors, and they're all in their little suits and ties, and
ready to go.
And it took me a second. I was like, and he was like, this is, and as he's introducing him to me, I was like, in my head, I was like, they are holding a church court right here, right now, aren't they? And I'm pretty like, I'm that person that is like, I'm self-taught that like in public or anything, if something bad is happening, you still put on that face of just like, okay, like you don't want to like, I'm not that person to just freak out in public. So I'm just like, I sit down and I just couldn't handle it. And he was like, he started and he opened up his little binder and I was sitting across. And then it was just so silly that they were all on one side of the table and I was on the other. And I just was like, so I finally just said, he said, Brother Hanson, we want to start by telling you how much we love you. That's how he started. And I said, no, you don't. I said, you don't know who I am. You've never met me before. Don't tell me that you love me. What am I doing here? Which was like really out of character for me to like do that.
It's so appropriate.
It was. I was mad. Like I was like, what am I doing here? And he was like, and I was like, and I said, don't patronize me. I was like, what am I doing here? And he goes, okay. And he looked right down at his little script and started reading it off to me. And I remember when I heard him say, you know, we're going to now strip you of your priesthood, we're going to strip you of your membership, and he did. Let me preface. He did say, you know, you've chosen to ignore the leaders of the church. You've decided to ignore the teachings of the prophet. You've chosen. It was choice. That I made all these choices. And then I think I got a little aggravated in that too. I was like, would you get to what I'm doing here? And then he just like, fine. I mean, I could tell he didn't want to like lie anymore either, or like deceive me at all. I could tell it was uncomfortable for him too. And so when they started reading that to me, and I went into this like, out. I checked out, and I was like in my head like going back like the files in my head. I'm like, I've given everything to this church. What did I do wrong? What did I do? I'm just going back in my head. Oh my gosh, and then that feeling of I'm going to start crying any second. It is going to, any second, I'm just going to start bawling. And while they were talking, I stood straight up. I mean, I just stood up. And I was like, I cannot believe that I have given my money, my time, my dedication. I've sacrificed my relationships with my family. And I want it. Like you've got guys that I know of in my ward that stand up every Sunday and pass the sacrament, and they are screwing their girlfriends and they're drinking on the weekends, and I'm coming and I'm honest about who I am, and I'm asking you to give me structure. Let me be just as ever, and you're kicking me out. I will never, to the day I die, I will never understand and how much damage you've caused to me. I don't know if I'll ever recover from this. And then I started bawling, and I left and I slammed the door right behind me. And I never heard from him again. And I got in the car and I drove up by Capitol Hill and I sat there and I wailed. Like I can't remember the last time I was wailing, crying like that. Like a little kid screaming. Because I couldn't believe, I felt like I just like someone had, I felt like that someone, it was like that whole like the old horror movie Carrie where they dumped the blood on her at the prom. Like that's what I felt like. That I was like that I was set up. I felt like that someone had set me up. And I was so resentful and I was so upset, and then immediately hated him. Isn't that awful? Like I just felt so resentful. Not hated.
Did you just have to find somewhere to channel it?
Yeah, I just was like resentful. Like you did this. You lured me in. I'm losing the church because of this, and like I want this, and I'm gonna lose God now, and like I came home and I was so mad at him, and he just was like, okay, like you need to calm down, and he just, at first he was just kind of stood back and kind of let me vent and let me go through my things. I think the coming weeks when I kept it going for a long time, I didn't want him touching me at night. I wanted to sleep, and like there were a couple nights I slept upstairs in our house upstairs because I was too resentful and was having to go back and like, okay, was Nick the wolf in the sheep's skin that came in what they've been teaching me? Because now I have to go back and reevaluate everything. Everything has to be reevaluated now. And so I was very resentful towards him, and it actually broke us up. We broke up for 4 months because of it. 5 months because I broke up with him. I was like, I can't.
Well, then you started thinking of things that I had done a year before that. So.
Oh yeah.
Just digging up old.
Yeah, I was like, well, last year you did this, and I'm not over it. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, I did. I found a way to ruin, which was interesting because then, once they kicked me out, then that little blessing they gave me kind of kicked in. I started losing things that which was totally ironic, but I was just like, but and it did, and it ruined me. But it was a good thing because I had to then sit. I had to be at the bottom of the barrel, and then I had to be by myself, and I had to sit, and now think to myself. And so I'm like invisible now, like God. I'm like I I feel like that kind of mentality is I was brainwashed.